All right, everyone. We're back with the next episode of the One Ring RPG Strider Mode. Last we left off, Varen, son of Halfgrim, was in the most northern portion of the hills of Evendim. But before we move into that leg of the story, a couple corrections. So we've got one thing, our gear, the useful items. I had assumed for some reason that they could be a favored roll, which is not the case. An useful item gives you just one extra success die to use in correlation with the appropriate skill. Second of all, I did a little more looking over the hills of Evendim as a region, and no one lives there. So, quick audible, I had kind of an idea, since we're going to be there anyways, to broker some sort of deal between the residents and Círdan for a constant supply of hardwood from the trees in this region. And so I came up with this idea. I had the thought that they could be temporary migrants from Bree. They've set up like a logging camp there, and they're just trying to earn a living through like a small scale lumber trade. And so instead of there being, a village set up there, I think I'm gonna sort of change this, and it'll be less of like a village and more of like, I don't know, we'll say like there's a pony, maybe two ponies in like a carriage, like a cart, and two small tents. And those are sort of set up like and stationed on maybe like a flat part where the hills sort of level out. And so that makes a little more sense than there being like a settlement that somehow no one knew about, which doesn't make that much sense. So I think that was the only thing I had. And I think we can dip into this. But because I can't put it off forever, and legitimately it is stressing me out, the combat of this game. I wanted to sort of just inject my own combat scenario into what was probably going to be just a direct to council stage. So I am thinking that Varen, as he's approaching this little encampment, he sees two bandits with with one of the workers, like he's got the bandit's got the knife at his throat, and he's talking to the other worker, the Bree folk, and he's got the knife to the throat, and he's telling this person like, open your backpack, like your traveling sack, and dump everything out. Hand over your coin purse. And I think Varen can still hidden at this point, but can sort of like hear bits and pieces as it travels on the wind. But he knew that there was some sort of operation going in this region, hence why he was told to travel here. And encountering bandits was not part of that plan. So I think to start this off, I want to I think we're going to try to sneak up as close as we can and get as close as we can to the bandits to initiate combat and hopefully ambush them. And that being said, we need to roll a stealth check. So, oh yeah, also fellowship points refreshed, new session. I used our 2 remaining we had from last session to bump our hope back up to from 6 to 8. Yeah, just in case anyone's counting or keeping track. Oh, and also another thing. I think, let's see here. I don't know if I want to, I think I'm going to drop my shield. I think I'm going to, keep an eye on, like, I'll remember where I put it. Find like a little memorable small landmark. And I think I'm going to drop my shield. And I'll just put a thing here that just says dropped. And that way we can remember it. I do not want to be weary going into this. So we're going to drop that. We'll come back for it. We can take off. Let's just put a 10 here. Because we're losing 4 load by dropping the shield. This may come back to bite us pretty hard. But we are now currently at, we're not weary, and we are at 21 of 25 for our load. So no longer weary, which means that our success dice, we can take the result of 1, 2, and 3 instead of just automatically assigning a 0 to the roll. That being said, we needed to do that before we did this stealth, because I could see that going very, very poorly. We've got 2 points into stealth, so we need to roll a feat die and 2 success die. Make sure this is in frame. Wow, bro. Okay, so that was a 2. Okay, well, that's a 4. That is a terrible, terrible failure. And I'm not going to use a fellowship point, but I think as Varen is approaching, he's got his hand like up, ready to grab an arrow from his quiver. And as he's reaching up to grab it, his foot like slips on like a loose piece of rock, and he doesn't lose his balance necessarily or go down or anything, but it does cause like a little bit of like a tumble, and the 2 bandits turn around just in time to see him approaching. So that being said, no one is getting ambushed. They are both aware of each other, so we're gonna skip that. I've got this super handy combat like cheat sheet, and we're gonna walk through this because I've never done combat before and I do want to get it right. So we're gonna do that, and I'll pull that back out as needed. Let's see here. Yeah, so we've got 2 bandits that are fully aware of us now, and Varen's gonna approach and just sort of shout, like, leave them be. Who picks on someone who can't defend themselves? And, I take pity on your souls. The bandit's laughing. The other one sort of shoves the briefle down onto the ground, points, I'll be back for you, scum. And then they both turn and sort of make their way towards Varen. And he's, if this is the way you want it, come and get it. So then I've got this thing too, which I think we can move the Strider thing for now. We'll move that up here. I've got an adversary sheet. Let me make sure that this is all in view. Yep, we're good. Okay, so rearward. And I know for Strider mode specifically, you could remain in skirmish stance. which is a way to continue to use ranged. Entering phase. Let me look through this really quickly. Action resolution. Combat. Skirmish stance. Combat in Strider mode operates the same. Players who prefer bows and thrown weapons. The skirmish stance allows the solo player to fight on the move. Okay. You can only attack your adversaries using ranged weapons. Adversaries that attack you with a melee weapon lose 1d, while those who attack you with a ranged suffer no penalty. For ranged attacks, you lose 1d. Okay. But we get an opening volley anyways, so they can only attack you with ranged. They lose no dice, but you do lose dice. Okay, so I've got a couple little things here. I'm not usually a huge mini person, but for my first combat, I think I want to... I think I want to have just some way to keep track of them. So those are our two adversaries. And the combat always starts with opening volleys if they're able, with ranged attacks. Or ranged weapons or thrown weapons. Player heroes carrying a shield double its parry modifier if aware of the attack. Ooh, okay. So what we need to do though first is go to the adversaries. Adversaries format. Treasure. Okay, so I'm gonna assume it's ruffians. So we're gonna go to 147. And I will move this up a little bit so we can see. Ruffians, local robbers, footpads, highway robber. I would guess it's probably... yeah, probably a footpad. Okay. So we've got the footpad here. Local robbers, cutthroats, brigands, and other assorted criminals fall within this category. They can be encountered on the lonely roads of Eriador, but they are as likely to be met in a dark alley in Bree. Okay, cool. So we've got that, and we are going to start with opening volleys. So let me look through this real quick because it walks you through each thing. The sides are at a distance, which they are. Lore Masters can allow a number of opening volleys resolved as normal ranged attacks. Okay. So, stances. So how... I know I need to look. I'm letting myself get confused. So opening volleys, we don't need to do anything. These two... They have what? 1 might, 8 endurance each. I'll just have a little note card over here. We'll do 1 is the guy with the axe who's down, who's got it at his feet. Eight endurance. Number 2 is also 8 endurance. Okay. And that way I can keep track, just in case. I'll keep that down here. Opening volleys, we attack with ranged weapons. So I have 2 points into my bows, my proficiencies. And this is our strength, target, and number. Attacks. Roll for a combat proficiency of the weapon used. Target number from strength plus opponent's parry. Oh yeah, I should write down their parry. They don't have a bonus from parry. Okay. Adversaries. Target number equals the hero's parry. So our parry is now at 16. I'm just going to make a little note of that, just so we know. Okay. Endurance loss equal to weapons damage. Okay, so our bow does 3 damage. And here we go. So I get a fate die and 2 for my opening volley, and I'm going to attack this guy over here on the left. Number 1. Oh god, it's a strength target. That's terrible. So I think I'm gonna use the shipwright's foresight, and I'm gonna redo that. But I need to be careful. Shit, I didn't want to erase that. So I'm gonna make that a 3. We're gonna redo it. I am gonna spend a point of hope. And Strider is all skills, right? Does it count as combat if you're inspired? Solo players receive an extra distinctive feature while journeying. Okay, so hope point. We're not inspired, but we are going to gain an extra success die. So let's see here. We're going to do it again. We've got 3 die. We're going to attack with our bow. We need to meet or beat? I can't remember. What was that? I think meet or beat. Okay. That's 1 success die. So that's a 9. Ooh, that is a 15. Okay, that counts. And we've got a success die, which means we can use that here. It says special damage. Inflict a special effect for each success icon on a successful roll. Okay, so before we add the damage into it, let's see here. Pierce. Bows. Ah, damn. So for pierce, it would be bows, spears, swords. Modify feat die result of the attack to a max of 10, possibly causing piercing blow. So bows, you would get to add a +2. That would only make our feat die 5. So we're not even close. Any weapon. Okay, I like this. Heavy blow. Any weapon. Additional endurance loss. Hero's strength +1 for 2-handed weapons. It is not. It's a ranged weapon. So hero's strength. That's an extra 5. So that is literally, that's an 8. Okay, so if we added our bow, which is a 3, we're gonna use our success icon to do a heavy blow, and yeah, that's 8. That's 8 endurance. So if you drop them to 0, your adversaries succumb. There we go. So we're gonna remove him, and now we move to the next. So close quarters rounds. Stance. The company chooses their stance. Close. Oh wait, this guy gets an opening volley because he does have a bow. Right here, 314. That's the damage, and that's the injury rating. Okay, so he does get one, and it is our parry rating. So what do they get? Do they just get cudgel 2? Oh wait, I think it's the bow 2. Oh word. Okay, so they do have combat proficiencies. I will edit that last part out. Obviously, I just got to read a little harder. So they have to hit our parry rating, which is a 16, And I think when they get a... Is it the Eye of Sauron? Let's just roll. Let's just roll. I'm going to have them... Yeah, they're gonna use a resolve, I think. So, to resolve. So let's make that a 1. And they're going to add a success die because they just watched their homie get killed. And I feel like they are resolved to fuck my shit up. Okay. Oh, God. So that's a 6. That's a 9. 13. 16. Oh, they fucking hit it. Okay, so they're able to get one through. They do 3... They didn't get any special attacks, but they're able to get one through. Right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're able to get an attack through. It hits us for 3 damage, which brings us down to 22. We are 1 away from being weary, so that is brutal. And now we are going to move into close combat. And I'm going to move into forward, which means the attacker and I each gain a success die. And I feel like that is necessary if we're going to be able to take this down. Okay. So we're now using our... So what do you get if it's two-handed? Close combat. Gain 1d. On a success, all opponents with 1 might are weary. Oh wait, that's a combat task. Yeah. What does it say about two-handed? That just changed the I think that just changes the injury rating. Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to go in, and I have, I think, 2 points, right? In my spears. Yep, 2 points. We need to hit my strength target number, and they don't have a parry rating. So we've got 2 die. I think what I want to do, I think I'm going to spend another point of hope. Get us back down to 6, and I think I'm going to add another die to this. Actually, yeah, we get another die, and we get another die because we're in forward stance. So we got 4 success die to work with here. Okay, just so you can see this, I'm going to move it in with my pen. It's going to fall. It's a 5. Damn it. I promise you. I'm about to move it in, and it's going to look like an Eye of Sauron. But it's a 5. You heard it roll. Actually, I'll just re-roll it. It's an 8. Okay, so we've hit this easily. That's a 20. That is a 21. Wow. Okay, so we nailed it. We're going to do... We didn't get any successes, which sucks. But we do 4 endurance damage. Okay. And now this Footpad has 4 endurance left. Unfortunately, it is his turn. So I think we're going to give him a chance to attack again. He gains a die because he's also matching me in forward. And he's got to hit a 16 or more. Gandalf rune, which I don't know if that does anything. So that's what, a 10. And what's a Gandalf rune? Is that a failure for them? But I'm assuming, yeah, I'm assuming it's a 0. If I would have rolled an Eye of Sauron, I also would have just assumed it's a 0. So we're gonna do the same thing here. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stay in the same stance, and I think we're gonna just go toe to toe and go back at it. So, yeah, the Footpad has his axe, has his, I guess, what is it? A sword? No, it's a cudgel. Pretend that's a cudgel. He's got his cudgel, swings, and Varen is able to like sort of like drop to his knees and get below it, and then on his way back up attempts to stab the spear into his gut. So since we're in forward, I'm going to add another success die. And a 5, that's a 10, that's a 14, that's an 18. All right, we hit it. We did not get another success, but we do another 4 damage with our spear. Bam. Dunzo. All right, you done. So we were able to defeat both of them. We did take some endurance loss. Yeah, we're at... I wouldn't have taken any if I would have just... Honestly, and I don't know that I rolled that many 1s, 2s, or 3s. I feel like I could have kept that shield on and not taken any endurance loss. And we would have been fine. But shoulda, coulda, woulda. So he's able to defeat the Footpad, stabs a spear up into his gut, and the Footpad's hissing, sort of venomous, just hateful speech at him with his dying last breath. Varen sort of like slides him off his spear onto the ground. You brought this upon yourself. You know, I take no responsibility in this action. These people did nothing to you. And then he's able to like step away from him. You hear the last little like gurgling, and the second Footpad goes quiet. And Varen, having completed the combat phase, goes over to the two Bree folk that are sort of nursing their wounds, scared, comforting each other. And it does look like it is it's just 2 men, sort of, you know, typical like 5'10" to 6'1" range. And I got a name list here. So we've got some Bree folk, men of Bree, and I'm gonna go with we've got Giles Bellsap is one of them. So let's write this down. Giles Bellsap. How do you spell that? 2 L's. Okay. And who else do we got here? And we've got Tom Pickthorn. Okay. There we go. They're both, you know, thanking Varen as they get up, and, you know, Varen's reassuring them, like, I know you would have done the same if you had seen people in need. It is no problem. You know, I've seen this many times before. These evil men take advantage of those without the means to defend themselves. You know, they live a life of blood and greed, and this has served them such. And he gets sort of right to the point, like, I don't want to take much of your time, but I have come here for a reason, and I would like to discuss something with you, a proposition, if you will. And they are willing to hear this, having just been saved from either murder or a total theft of all of their goods. So they are receptive to this. And Varen details his relationship with Círdan and Galdor and how they're working together to try to lock down like a hardwood trade. Just the more they can get, the better. They're trying to build ships. And I'm going to put this under here real super quick. Okay. Yeah, and, you know, having come from this area up the Brandywine, or not, I guess not, like through Fornos over to the Brandywine and north, Varen lets them know that, you know, there's potentially two options if they're willing, and they could choose the route they wish. But they could go east down the mountains to the Brandywine and send it to Bree. And we could, or I guess the Shire it would be. And they could drop it there, and we could arrange some sort of transport for the goods, just so they don't have to travel all the way to Mithlon. Or they could travel west to, what is this river? Oh yeah, the River Loon. Okay. Yeah, they could travel west to the River Loon from where they're at, and an envoy from Mithlon would be able to acquire the hardwood and take it the rest of the journey. So they wouldn't be required to move this freight like an incredibly large distance. There's still some risk involved. But, you know, Varen details this plan and, you know, reassures them that coin is involved and that they will be handsomely compensated for their work. And if they, you know, if they had family back home to feed, or if they had other workers, you know, they don't need like this giant lumber business, but I mean, if they have friends who are in need of work, they could bring them as well. So that leads us to the council stage. And, you know, they are thankful that we were able to help, and they're grateful. And they know that they would have been in a much worse spot if we hadn't come along. But they also are still aware of the risks involved with this sort of travel and trade in these regions specifically, you know. So it's still going to require us to run through a council phase. So we're going to work through this as well. And Will at World's End, huge shout out, council cheat sheet, or like a worksheet. This thing rules. So we're going to bring this out. Got this here. And we're going to just go through it one by one. So we set the resistance. The resistance is a rating of how bold the company's request is in the eyes of their audience. I don't think it's a bold request because it says the goal profits the company more than the audience. I don't think it does. I think we're here specifically as like an emissary of Círdan, and this greatly benefits these people. Instead of like sort of being out here all alone in the northern hills of Evendem, they would have someone kind of looking out for them. And I think they know that too. So I think it is a reasonable request. Audience doesn't lose anything by helping. That's up for debate. And if the company is offering something in return, or if the company is offering... Okay, yeah. So introduction. The spokesperson, Baron, for the company makes a skill roll to determine the time limit. Number of attempts that the company has to make. So the time limit is equal to 3. So we're going to say it is reasonable. And I like that it's actually just a worksheet. Yeah, so the time limit. We got to do it with awe, courtesy, or riddle. I think I want to do you. Oy, we don't get anything for riddle courtesy. We have 2 in that. Courtesy. We're kind of doing them a courtesy. Like, we understand their labor. So the courtesy would be a 13 as our target number. So yeah, let's say we're doing them a courtesy by hooking this up. The Mithlon, Grey Havens area, you know, they understand that the hardwood up here is a fine specimen, and they understand that these people are in need of work. And the rangers in this area have been monitoring them, not interfering or anything, but they've been communicating. Galdor's aware of them as well, just from his travels, and they want these people to succeed, and they do admire their work. So they're extending this courtesy, and he lets them know that they would be in good hands. And now we got to roll and see what we get. Wait, I don't have anything that would affect this, right? Prosperous. Anything else that would affect this? Let me, before I roll this, look through here really quickly at the council stage. Oh, did I forget to bring it? Okay. Skills. Okay. Wait. Heroes make skill rolls to accumulate enough successes to match. Okay. If the speech touches topics relevant to the company's goal and deemed important by their audience, heroes can gain 1D or even 2D. I'm going to say we gain a D on that for having helped them specifically. And yeah, they're open to it. So no modifier. Let's see. Enhearten, Insight. Keeps track of the total. The lore master, we keep track of the total number of successes. Each success icon counts as an additional success. Okay, yeah, I think we got this. Okay, yeah, our courtesy roll here. We got to be meter beat a 13. 8, 11, 12. Oh, we didn't do it. So we have 3. Our time limit is 3. Okay, so now we get into it. The interaction. The company must gain a number of successes equal to or exceeding the resistance within the time limit. Skill rolls can be modified by good role-playing or the disposition of the audience. If the audience is reluctant, lose 1, open, no modifier, friendly, gain 1. They're friendly at this point. We literally just put our lives on the line and took a hit in the process. So, I think we enhearten them by letting them know that what's my enhearten? It's a 2. Got a meter beat of 13. And I think we gain a die on this because they are friendly. And we let them know that we genuinely have their best interests at heart. Like, we want the wood to be received by Mithlon, but like we would never let anything happen to them. They are in good hands, and we just reiterate that. Like, you have the word of Círdan, the shipwright, and Galdor, his emissary. They both have, I have heard from them both personally that they intend to help facilitate this trade, whatever your request might be. So we're going to try to enhearten them. That's a 9. That's a 12. That's a 17. Okay, we'll take a success. Awesome. So we have, yeah, that's, so now we've got, oh, I guess we would have crossed off that. So now we've got 2 left. I guess I would have crossed off the 4 to know what was left. Okay. All right. Insight. What else do we have? Lore, persuade. Okay, we will try to persuade. Therein, you know, that's a 3. That's crazy. And we get a dice for that? For them being friendly? Nuts. I'm switching fate die. Yeah. Varen, you know, once again just sort of implores, like, we understand how hard it is with, you know, you as loggers and those who work in sort of like the outer perimeter of the settled lands, like the cities. We understand how dangerous it can be, but, you know, if you don't do it, you know, we'll continue our search for someone else who might. And I just think you should keep in mind how good you might have it. You could buy your own land. You could, you know, use some of the wood that you're harvesting while being paid for it to, you know, build a homestead somewhere, or, you know, remodel your home in Bree. I really do think it would be in your best interests, and you're already out here sort of scrounging for what you can, not to belittle the work you do, but this would be guaranteed, you know, sizable payments from a very reliable source. We are straight up peddling. Like, I feel like a drug dealer right now. But, yeah, so we're going to try to persuade. Oh, shit. So what happens if I get an Eye of Sauron? Does it just count as a 0, or is it a donezo? Dice rolling. Because we definitely passed. We beat the TN, but yeah, what is it? Cancels. Success. I need to read something really quickly, because I need to know what the die rolls are. Making rolls. Okay. Yeah, HV die. The Eye of Sauron is considered to be the worst possible result on a feat die. When the feat die comes up showing the Sauron icon, the feat die result counts as a 0. Degrees of success. Technically, we beat it, and it was an extraordinary success. It just counts as a 0, I guess. Like, if it's a skill roll, I don't know that it counts as... I don't think it counts as a failure. I think it's just a 0. Once again, I think that's the move. Okay. So, yeah, we still meet this. So we do succeed. And technically we get 2 more successes on top of that. So, player heroes gained a number of successes equal to the resistance. The audience agrees to the goal of the company. So we did succeed. We succeeded without a woe. And with the last of our conversation and the last light of the day, we agree. We do make this deal. Giles Bellsap and Tom Pickthorn agree to bring in one of their mates, one more who is looking for work, and they will fulfill their end of this trade bargain. So we let them know that, Kieran's people and Galdor will be in touch, and that we are making our way to Mythland anyways, potentially. Yeah. Well, we're not positive where we're going next, but we asked them if they would mind sharing. Like, we have our own tent, obviously, so we can camp, but we were curious if they would allow us to spend the evening with them. We'll provide a little more, like a stronger watch, and if we could share a fire with them tonight, and maybe drink and enjoy song. And they happily agree. They're thankful for it. And so Varen, son of Halfgrim, ends up fulfilling his end of the bargain and secures this trade agreement. And they drink their wine from their wine flasks and sing and dance and enjoy the establishing a new and prosperous friendship. And then they turn in. And I think that's where we're going to end this session for today. But I will be back with the next episode, and we'll go through ending journey, ending councils, and then moving into the fellowship phase, I think. So I'm going to have to look into that. Hope I did everything right. If I didn't, please let me know in the comments. Give me some tips on things that might help. But yeah, I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.